Defy the Gods. So I was originally going to title this Defy the Mother. Um, there is something I noticed, and I'm not exactly sure if it has to do with narcissism, but I think there might be some parallels. Narcissists tend to choose people whenever they're choosing, victims and things like that. They choose people who don't have a lot of boundaries, and they like these people because then they can kind of feed off of the suffering of this person, and the person won't set boundaries, all that immediately. When I was dealing with one at UNT, I recall her being extremely attractive. She was probably like a 7.5 on an attractive scale. Um, this was when I was getting slightly better at understanding women, but I wasn't like super good at the boundary part of things, right? Um, I can recall like asking her if she wants to go make some peanut butter jelly sandwiches at my dorm, and she was pretty down with it. It was kind of funny, but she's like, "Yeah, let's do it." Um, but yeah, like I recall her talking to her, and I would hear about how a lot of guys didn't want to deal with her because she would laugh and say, "Oh, there's something about their boundaries." Uh, there was a lot of bad signs, negative signs coming off of that person. And the last thing I remember from her, she got pregnant. Um, I often I followed up on her life to figure out what was going on. I think she got pregnant probably by like one of her supply, some guy, poor guy. Um, Anyways, but this is pertaining to young boys nowadays. So this would be um, Z or Generation Z boys, maybe millennials as well, probably late millennials. Um, your mother is a woman, right? So yes, you love her. Yes, you wanna. My channel is heavily centered around dealing with the mother, dealing with the Oedipal mother, dealing with the um, dealing with the overbearing mother. This is something that I think that is extremely important for forming masculinity in the presence of no father. You have to defy your mother. You have to defy the gods, so to speak. The gods being your mother. The gods being any other female. So there's another. It's not just your mother. So another overbearing mother would be your school teacher, right? Your school teacher wants you to sit quiet and just do what every other student is doing. She wants you to conform. Now I'm not telling you to be like a rebel, but um, if you get something internally that's telling you to do something different, then do something different. Now, yeah. Now in the school system, you get punished for this, but I can recall having female teachers and having to defy them um, to become who I am. But it wasn't something I wasn't just trying to act out. It's just who I was. As now I'm realizing. So with your mother, she cares for you. She wants the best for you, but she's a fearful creature. Mothers are very fearful, and they're very neurotic. Right? There's a lot of emotion. Tends to be a lot of negative emotion. A lot of times they kind of run through scenarios and problems that could happen with your life, and it makes you anxious, right? And this anxiety can kind of destroy and corrode your own masculinity. So what you have to do a lot of times is learn to be indifferent and to just ignore, but like it's a righteous indifference, right? But you have to get to the point where you just kind of you don't really listen to it, right? Some of it, right? Because some of it is wisdom and it's really important and it's good. But then a lot of times moms, especially like the feminist moms or the moms who are slightly more you know, they're a little more inclined towards hardness. These moms, you have to set very strong boundaries, and these boundaries will sometimes these boundaries will be getting away from them and to move away from them because they'll suck the life out of you. They'll suck the masculine energy right out of you, and you'll be walking around on eggshells. But then the woman you're dealing with after you deal with your mother is the reason why you're defying the gods. You would defy the gods so that you can live life as a masculine man in a world where your father isn't there, right? You don't see your father there. You don't see the walk. You don't see you don't have the mentor, so to speak. So as a result, you have to take it into your own hands to defy your mother. And once you defy your mother, then your masculine side will come out even stronger. Now, this is hard if you live with your mother, but if you don't live with your mother, then it becomes slightly easier. Being a mama's boy, that's kind of where that comes from. You have cultures where they would have separated the sons from the mothers, so things like this would not be able to happen. In Indian cultures, Native American cultures, they take the sons and essentially rip them from their mothers, and then just take them and put them into austerity, so that they can become men. This is extremely important because then his ego gets differentiated from the mother, and he realizes he's a completely different being than the mom. I remember growing up, my mom wanted me to think I was just like her. In the back of my head, I was always like, I don't know, I seem a little stronger than you, a little taller than you, like slightly different, right? Of course, my mom always knew we were different. Um, but yeah, there's always now some. I was reading this book. I'm reading this book called Iron John, and in Iron John it talks about how the boy will talk back, or there's kind of a nasty break that can happen if there's no separation that's kind of made from boyhood to manhood. Then the boy will have a nasty break from his mother. But then you don't have to make it that way. It's just, defying the gods or defying the mother. When you're doing this, you are establishing your own sense of self. Um, Look at it that way, right? So if your mom says something, or let's say it's your boss, right, your female boss, and it's something you disagree with, or if it's your say if it's a coworker and they say something you disagree with, and you say you defying them means you're not just going along with them. You're saying your beliefs. You're saying what you think as a man, and you're holding strong to that. Or maybe if you have to set boundaries with these people, you set strong boundaries with them. This is defying the gods. It's not some giant crazy thing like, oh, I'm empowered. No. um, but yeah, this is significant, and it doesn't just have to do with the mother, but it stems from the mother because this is the first person you have to defy in order to become truly independent. Because mothers, they rely on your dependence to keep you safe and for their own sense of security, and they teach you fear. Mothers teach you fear, and then they teach you uh, perhaps they teach you about your emotions and things like that, but for young boys, they teach you fear, and you have to learn fearlessness, because that's part of your being. If you're a masculine creature, your your ancestors were courageous. They were brave in order to get you to where you are. Your mother selected a man. On some level, she selected a man who resembled the conquerors in her ancestral history. And so when you think about who you come from a lineage of conquerors, a lineage of people who traversed the land over years and surmounted obstacles to get to where you are, right? So, yeah, defy the gods.